From the heart of Philly, this is CBS News Philadelphia. The rain is pouring in the city. Take a look at the winds whipping the flags on the Ben Franklin Parkway.
The gusts are also picking up down the shore all across our area. We're following the impacts of this major storm system. Conditions are really starting to get worse outside. Hi, and good evening, everyone. I'm Yuki Washington.
I'm Jessica Cartalia. Rain, wind, and flooding are the big concerns tonight. Take a look at this video from Brooklawn, New Jersey. Drivers there have already been running into flooding on the roads, and this all started before the sun set. As the rain keeps coming down, we could see more flooding across our area.
Let's start our coverage right now. Josh Sanders is following flooding concerns in Manayunk. Madeline Wright is doing the same in Delco, and Chris Garrett is in the studio watching the road conditions for you.
And of course, we have our team of meteorologists, Bill Kelley and Grant Gilmore. But let's start with you. What's happening right now with this storm?
Well, and that's it. We're just starting to get to the most impactful time. We've been telling you about it all day long, that 8 to 11 o'clock time frame. What you're looking at here, good evening, everybody, is this this green. That's the lighter rain. The yellow and the orange is where the rain is coming down heavier. So Delaware County just up through Philadelphia right now. And as I widen this out, you can see we had that one line roll through that was a bit heavier. It is now pushed into northern parts of New Jersey, North Jersey. But down near Baltimore, this next batch that cuts across the Chesapeake into Kent County around Dover. This is another swath that's going to bring you a half an inch to 3/4 of an inch per hour. Those rates as they're pushing on through. And it's also going to start increasing the wind as it gets closer. I want you to look at this. These are the current wind gusts in our area. We have a 56-mile-per-hour gust in Wilmington, 43 in Philadelphia, 46 in Millville. Down the shore, not crazy at this hour anywhere. And when I say not crazy, it's relative, 30 to 40-mile-per-hour gusts, 40 in Lancaster. We did get a report from the local National Weather Service with a 59-mile-per-hour wind gust in Wilmington. A little perspective, that was the peak so far. That is severe. Severe is 58 miles per hour or greater. So we have the wind advisory out for all the shades that are in tan. But down the shore, where it's going to be the windiest tonight, we have the high wind warning that is in effect until 4 o'clock in the morning. Let's bring in meteorologist Grant Gilmore. We're talking about the different threats, and they have a little bit of a different timing on each.
It's hard to absorb all of this, Bill, because there is a lot going on. The rain has been happening for a while, so let's talk about that first. I want to show you this. This is the threat. This is a storm impact and the timeline for where we expect the impacts from each one of these hazards to be at their greatest. Now, rainfall, we are starting to see the heaviest of the rain begin to arrive. We expect that to continue up until around midnight. We'll see it taper off and then maybe a little burst of some showers as we head through 8 o'clock early tomorrow morning. The wind speeds, Bill was just talking a lot about that. We're getting into the worst of the conditions now with the winds. Those gustier conditions could even continue past midnight into early tomorrow morning, and then it stays breezy through most of the day tomorrow. We're talking about wind gusts across the region, potentially 35 to 40 miles per hour, even into tomorrow afternoon. Flooding, we're seeing a few reports of some urban street flooding, river flooding. That will even continue as we head into tomorrow afternoon. It won't be until probably 1 or 2 o'clock tomorrow until some of our larger rivers finally begin to recede and we start to see all the flooding die down through tomorrow afternoon. The rain intensity, that's going to pick up through the evening hours, something that we haven't talked a lot about, but Chief Meteorologist Bill Kelley will get into in a bit. Power outages into the overnight, a legitimate concern. Yuki, Jess, this system's going to last into the overnight, and we'll see the impacts through at least tomorrow afternoon.
All right, guys, thank you so much. We want to show you this live picture from our CBS Philadelphia mobile weather watcher. This is what conditions look like around Route 1 near Neshaminy.
The storm system is moving through in the middle of the evening commute, and we are going to get an update on road conditions all across our area with Chris Garrett in just about 5 minutes.
Businesses in Manayunk, meanwhile, are preparing for potential flooding.
CBS Philadelphia's Josh Sanders joins us now. He's there for us. And Josh, you spoke with one owner who has dealt with flooding before, right?
Right, yeah, good evening, guys. Well, Main Street in Manayunk is known for its bars and restaurants, but it's also known to flood with the Schuylkill River being so close. As the rain falls outside Greg's kitchen in Manayunk, inside, owner Greg Gillen is working hard on his flat-top grill, waiting to see what this latest storm brings.
We're right next to the river, and we're happy to be here. And Manayunk's an awesome town, but it's times like these where you're like, you're kind of just waiting.
Gillen remembers the damage brought by Hurricane Ida after the Schuylkill River overflowed, causing widespread damage to businesses like his on Main Street.
After Hurricane Ida, we had 7 feet of water in the basement, and it knocked out the electrical. PECO came and took the meters, and they had to redo all the electrical, so we were closed for about 10 months.
He says while Hurricane Ida was an exceptional storm, he's hopeful this rain is just a nuisance.
You know, there's not a lot we could do. You make sure everything's up off the floor in the basement, and you know, you sort of just wait to see how bad it gets.
And the rain is continuing to fall down pretty hard. I mean, you even saw earlier, Philadelphia police are preparing. They're monitoring places like this that are prone to flooding. We saw one of those marine units come by there. I figured they were going down to see, some problematic areas around here. Again, those, your business owners here on Main Street, they're just waiting to see what this storm system brings, especially when it comes to the overnight hours and potential flooding in this area. Guys, back to you.
All right, buddy, good heads up. Thank you so much. Let's take you live to the shore right now. This is in Ocean City.
Yeah, you can see the winds whipping our camera around. The gusts are the main concern for places down the shore. In Atlantic City, those gusts could hit 60 miles per hour. They've also been churning up the ocean. The boardwalk was practically deserted this afternoon, as you see. In Brigantine, some businesses heeded the warnings and they brought in outside furniture so they didn't become projectiles. Emergency management officials in Atlantic County are preparing for minor flooding, power outages, and beach erosion.
The damage that our beaches sustained already after the last few storms, and here comes another one. We have some significant beach erosion, and this is just going to add to it.
Crews in Atlantic County say they will work through the night monitoring the storm.
And we appreciate all their efforts indeed. Officials in Delaware County are concerned about the threat of flash flooding on roads that don't usually flood.
Delco reporter Madeline Wright has that part of our team coverage. She is live at Delaware County Emergency Services in Media. Hi, Madeline.
Rain's still coming down hard,
yeah.
too.
It sure is, Yuki and Jessica. Officials are especially concerned about the risk of flooding in low-lying areas of Marcus Hook, Chester, Darby, and Chadds Ford. Today, I talked to one homeowner who lives right next to Brandywine Creek. She says she's not taking any chances with the storm.
So this all had to be gutted and redone.
Buffy Savant says it took 9 months to rebuild her house on Creek Road in Chadds Ford after her entire first floor flooded during Hurricane Ida.
So we lost everything. So lost the wedding videos, lost the kids' videos.
She says she was trapped on the second floor of her house for a day and a half, just waiting for the water to recede.
It was really scary. It was really, really scary.
Which is why she's taking this storm seriously. She stocked up on groceries. She's also got emergency supplies.
We have our water out, we have our batteries out, we have our generator, we have gas for that.
Tim Boyce, director of Delaware County Emergency Services, says dispatchers are prepared to handle an influx of 911 calls during the storm.
We're expecting flooding all along the 95 area as those low-lying communities just are going to be inundated with the water.
He says boats are on standby in case of swift water rescues.
We can't stress enough that water is incredibly dangerous. If you don't need to be out, don't be out.
As for Buffy Savant, she's planning to move her cars to higher ground if floodwaters get too close to her home.
I usually look at what happens up north of us because that's where things start flowing from the Brandywine. So if they get hit hard, I feel like we get it the next day. So I'm not really worried about today so much as tomorrow.
Back live, you can see the American flag just whipping in the wind and rain. Boyce encourages people to report any storm damage to their local municipality, so the county has the option of applying for state and federal reimbursement. Live in Media, Delaware County, Madeline Wright, CBS News, Philadelphia.
All right, Madeline, thank you.
We're taking it to the streets now for a check of the road conditions.
Let's head over to Chris Garrett. Chris, how's it looking?
Well, right now it's starting to settle down as you're making your way around the areas of the Vine and the school. Take a look at our cameras right now. At one point, this was all a gigantic parking lot. Now we're starting to thin out, making our way on the Vine down towards 95. We're heading up towards the school. We're not really finding any delays. Also watch for a little bit of volume making your way around City Ave, heading up towards the areas of Chester County. If your travel's taking you around Girard Avenue, starting to thin out there as well. But again, you see the roads are very wet at this point. Watch for that tire spray. Give yourself some extra space as you're making your way if you have to head out this evening. We are also looking at delays still around the 30 bypass over in Chester County near the Downingtown interchange. Watch for again that westbound delay. And if you're heading over towards the PA Turnpike around Downingtown and Morgantown, we have an accident off to the shoulder. Just watch for delays in the area. Back over to you guys.
All right, Chris, thanks for that. Up next, as we've said, one of the big concerns with this storm is this wind.
That's for sure. We're going to let you know how PECO is preparing for potential power outages as those gusts really start to ramp up tonight.
Good evening. Our coverage of the storm continues through the night and into the morning.
Starting at 4 a.m., live coverage from the city to the shore of the aftermath.
The roads you need to avoid due to floodwaters.
I'll be monitoring rivers and creeks, and we're not out of the woods yet. I'll have the track on the next Weather Maker.
Plus detailed information about insurance claims when it comes to tree damage.
We'll see you starting at 4 a.m.
Welcome back. Preparation is key when it comes to this severe weather.
Tonight, PECO is preparing for power outages. CBS Philadelphia's Nikki Dementri continues our coverage tonight.
At Stanley's Hardware in Roxborough, the rain outside has cleared shelves inside.
None left at all. Yeah, none left. So, yeah, you're too late if you need one.
The store's manager says people are coming to stock up on essentials. Things like flood barriers are nearly sold out.
Ah, there's one. Yeah.
Once the customer called and she's on her way in within about 15 minutes or so.
It's not just flooding driving homeowners to the store.
And then over this way.
The thought of power outages is too. Another big seller are batteries and flashlights.
It's definitely been moving today.
For PECO, the preparations began long before the rain started to fall and the wind picked up. The utility company says they've been monitoring this storm over the last 3 to 4 days.
Right now, we've stood up our emergency response organization. So what that means is we have all of our available field resources and enhanced staffing back office to help restore service to our customers.
It's a full call out at PECO with extra crews making their way to the Keystone State to help.
We have about 200 additional contract crews that will be coming in from places as far away as Kentucky, Virginia, Tennessee, and North Carolina to help support our restoration efforts.
As the storm moves through the area, PECO reminds everyone to please treat any downed wires as active. A spokesperson also reminds everyone.
During restoration, if there's sustained wind gusts above 30 miles per hour, that makes it harder and for the safety of our crews, they can't be operating a bucket truck.
Safety is key for both crews and customers. Nikki Dementri, CBS News, Philadelphia.
We were talking about sunny days.
Yeah.
When are we going to see one of those again?
Well, certainly not in the next, well, we may get a little sun tomorrow. But let's talk about the power outages, because that's a big problem tonight. We actually have a product that we can run, and this is the power outage potential, if you will. So the areas of yellow, that's where it is a elevated risk for seeing power outages in our area. So here's 6 o'clock. Let me walk you through the next couple of hours and notice how this really starts to fill in. By 8 o'clock, it's an elevated risk primarily for South Jersey and down the shore. But by 9, 10 o'clock, we even have some areas that are moderate for those power outages. And it's due primarily to the heavy rain and the wind that is going to be picking up at that time. So we get to 10, by the time we get to midnight and beyond, doesn't mean you couldn't get a power outage. Certainly anything can happen. A branch could fall on a power line well after the storm and then your power goes out. But if you get past about 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning and you have not lost your power, the odds are good that it will not be going out. Okay, so we're timing out the greatest impacts. Several impacts on this storm. Rain, heaviest between 8 p.m. and 11 p.m. tonight, so we're just a couple hours away from that with an additional 1 or maybe even 2 inches on top of what we've already had. Greatest local flooding is going to be between 8 p.m. and 2 a.m. And then we have the greatest chance for some river flooding later tonight and into tomorrow, because it takes all the time for the water to run down through the creeks, the streams, those tributaries they're called, into the main rivers, which then our local rivers run into the Delaware, which then of course runs into the ocean. And it just takes time for it to rise. The wind, it is windiest between 7 p.m. and 1 o'clock in the morning, but we're really focused in on that 9 p.m. to midnight time frame. Here's a look at the radar. Everybody has the rain right now, and in some spots, you saw from some of our live shots, it is pouring, and the heaviest rain, another batch, getting ready to move into Philadelphia, I-95, the Blue Route, you name it, Schuylkill Expressway. These are all very, very wet roads right now. So we have the next few hours. The green is the lighter rain. We have the yellow and the orange, the heavy rain. Look at this. By 8 o'clock, here's a look at 9 and even 10, where we get this intense line that's not only going to be pouring rain, but that's where we get some really intense wind. And that's why that power outage elevation went up at that time as these very strong winds move through. We get past midnight. We switch it over to some showers. but the greatest threat's going to be gone after midnight with just a batch of some lingering showers by early tomorrow morning. Now, talking about the additional rainfall, I mentioned another 1 to 2 inches of rain. This is what one of our forecast models is forecasting from this point forward. And you can see there it is up and down I-95, the 1 to 2, another 2 inches of rain on top of all the snow we have in the Poconos, another inch plus down the shore. But the winds, I want to focus on that. This is a current look at the winds. Everything has materialized exactly as we anticipated it materializing, and we're walking into the most impactful time for you. So this is now 56-mile-per-hour wind gusts in Wilmington. Futurecast there just slightly lower, but it has these widespread gusts. Watch what happens. 7 o'clock, widespread 40 to 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts. We get to 9. Now we're talking 50 to 60, if not 60 to 70 down the shore between 9 10 o'clock. I mean, you get the inches of rain, the saturated ground, and a 60 or 70 mile per hour wind gust that is not just for one brief period, but 50 to 60 lasting for hours. It really is a recipe for widespread power outages, or at least the potential for power outages in your area. So that's something we are watching very, very closely. So between now and midnight, we have an extensive plan. We're doing cut-ins literally every hour. We have our show on our channel 57, Philly 57. That will be on the 8 o'clock hour. We're on for the whole hour. All of these are on our streaming channel. Updates every hour, all night long. Our news at 11, and of course tomorrow morning as well. Tomorrow, the rain clears, but it is a windy day. And then our next weather system, Friday night and into Saturday, that also a rainmaker. And look at Saturday, guys. The low 50, the high 50, the temperatures drop all day long by Sunday morning into the 20s.
Here we go. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Even when we are not on television, our next weather team is always updating current conditions and the forecast on our website, cbsphiladelphia.com/weather.
From the heart of Philly, this is CBS News Philadelphia, and right now at 8, it is a nasty night out there after a day filled with downpours, heavy rain, flooded roads, and strands drivers, and we aren't done with the wet weather yet. It's not just the rain, but the powerful wind gusts. They're blowing those signs around in the Italian market and knocking out power to tens of thousands of homes across our area. Stay inside tonight if you can, because traffic is backed up on a lot of roads. And now that it's dark outside, it's even harder to see if there is water flooding on the roadways. Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us. I'm Jessica Cartalia. We have been warning you about this storm for days, and now we are in the thick of this next weather alert. Things are a mess outside from the city to the shore as we deal with heavy downpours and strong wind gusts that have already knocked out power to a lot of people. We have a team of meteorologists and reporters helping to keep you safe during the storm. Let's start with Chief Meteorologist Bill Kelley. He's here with a look at where the worst of the storm is right now and what's headed our way the rest of the night.
Well, good evening, Jess. Good evening, everybody. Yeah, we've been telling you that 8 p.m. through 11 p.m. time frame is when it's going to be the peak. Of course, it's been raining for a while now. A couple live cameras to show you. Now, this one doesn't look terrible from this view looking over the Ben Franklin Bridge, but if you look closely, you can see the water being blown up. I mean, the winds are out of the west, and they are gusting tremendously. Andrew will get to that part of the storm in just a moment. Here it is, the Italian market. I mean, look how heavy the rain is coming down. You can see it just pouring off the roof here, flags whipping around in the wind. Then we take you out here again to 42 where it connects with 275. And this camera, we were talking about it, it's a very still camera, and when it moves, you know it's really windy because it's kind of locked down. All right, so here's the radar. We're really starting to see these rain bands starting to intensify. One here working into Lancaster. We have one up and down I-95. I mean, it's obviously raining everywhere. The shades that you're seeing that are in the orange and even some red, this is where it is going to be the most intense. But widespread rain up and down 95, all the way down the AC Expressway to the shore, up through the Poconos where it's all rain, no snow whatsoever. But you can see Burlington, Gloucester, Camden County, Atlantic, all these shades where we're getting anywhere between half an inch to 3/4 of an inch per hour, those kind of rainfall rates in through Philadelphia, lower Montgomery, all of Bucks County. I mean, look, that shade here from Doylestown up to Percy and beyond into the Lehigh Valley, it's the same thing. We don't have any lightning, at least none being reported on this map. But if you hear the sound of my voice within this area, you're dealing with the heavy rain, and you will continue to deal with it for a couple more hours. And that is leading to our widespread flooding. This entire area in green, which is now this massively large swath from the entire 95 corridor down through Newcastle County, all of our western counties flood warning in effect, and we're starting to see the reports of the flooding coming up and of the damage as well. Brand new update for you since midnight. We've now had 1.27 inches of rain in Philadelphia. Up and down 95, everybody's over an inch. We're over an inch in Dover. We're at 2 inches in the Poconos. So you have widespread, let's say, inch to 2 inch total. Some maybe a little bit less right now, but generally 1 to 2 inches. And watch what happens over the next couple of hours. An additional ½ inch to 1.5 inches on top of all that. And that is what is going to cause some problems when it comes to the rain. A huge part of the storm is the wind. Let's bring in meteorologist Andrew Kozak. Andrew, these winds are really starting to peak right now.
And I got to be honest, Bill, I was looking at some of the estimates yesterday and thinking, okay, maybe the model's overdoing it. Maybe it's a bit dramatic, but we already have seen gusts over 40, 50 miles per hour. And the bad news about that is that we're going to continue to see that increase as a large area of rain and the center of the storm moves across our area within the next few hours. So right now, take a look at some of our sustained winds. 30 miles per hour in Philadelphia. We have gusts already 45, 44 mile per hour wind gusts across areas like Atlantic City, 40 in Wildwood, 30 up toward New York. These are only increasing now out of the southeast. There's Atlantic City. We've had some areas of some wind-driven rain a little earlier. Take a look at our hour-by-hour futurecast. As we head toward 9 o'clock, these winds really ramp up. 50 to 65 mile per hour wind gusts not out of the question. There's 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, we could have gusts. Now, I am a little skeptical about this, but it does worry me a bit that areas like Wildwood are showing gusts over 70 miles per hour, certainly in the 50 to 60 mile per hour range. We haven't been there yet. Model's really going to go with this. So I would say at this point, if you are near any areas that have loose trees, power lines, those areas, you need to make sure you're away from them. We're going to continue to see the front move through, and as it does, the strongest winds will certainly start to be confined to the Jersey Shore once we get closer to midnight. They're still going to be over 25 to 35 miles per hour in the city. After a bit of a calm down as we head into your Wednesday morning, the winds now behind the front, which will help us to dry out, will pick up as we head into Wednesday afternoon. And once again, any loose trees or anything loose out there will have the danger of falling once again, with gusts tomorrow afternoon between 35 and 45 miles per hour across the area. So again, just to kind of recap the wind impacts, loose soil from all the rain we've had, it's easier for those trees to fall. Highest gusts will be near at the shore. Ongoing power outages, beach erosion, still something we're going to be watching very carefully. And before I toss it over to Jess, just to let you guys know, I just checked with Pico. Pico alone right now about 54,000 customers affected. Jess?
All right, Andrew, thank you. The storm is causing a big mess down the shore, too. Here's a live look at a soggy Ocean City. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy has declared a state of emergency in the Garden State. It gives the state access to resources as authorities respond to the storm's impact. CBS Philadelphia reporter Alicia Roberts continues our live team coverage in Ocean City. I've been reading as fast as I can. I know you're standing out there in the rain, Alicia.
Jess, good evening to you. The wind's certainly picking up just within the last few minutes here along the boardwalk in Ocean City, New Jersey. Veteran photojournalist Ed Spate with me right now here where the boardwalk is bare, and he's just having to stand on the tripod of the camera to use body weight to make sure we're able to get this live shot up for you. Within the last few minutes, you've certainly felt those wind gusts intensify along with the heavy rain. I spent 6 years of my career in Florida covering tropical storms. This feels a lot like that right now. Everything is boarded up here in New Jersey, and for good reason. With those winds picking up, it is a dangerous situation along the shore. Right now, the major threat is that heavy wind. We saw that along the Atlantic City Expressway as we were making our way here toward Ocean City tonight. As you were getting closer toward those shore points, you could feel the wind picking up. It's that white knuckle driving along with the rain. Now, high tide here in Ocean City is set for 6:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. So again, while we're dealing with the heavy winds right now, as this storm is continuing to intensify overnight, as that rain continues and those tides rise, the threat for flooding here will intensify. We've already seen some of the local roads flooded out here in Ocean City. We are watching for that closely in through the midnight and overnight hours. So again, the cautionary tale, a state of emergency remains in effect here in New Jersey. And certainly if you're watching us from any of those Jersey shore points, it sure feels like this storm is picking up here in its intensity. Heed those warnings. Be safe tonight and make sure you have what you need to get through this storm as it is intensifying. For now, we are live in Ocean City. Jess, I'll send it back to you.
All right, Alicia, thank you. Businesses in Manayunk spent the day preparing for potential flooding. CBS Philadelphia reporter Josh Sanders spoke with one business owner who is very familiar with the flooding problems there.
As the rain falls outside Greg's kitchen in Manayunk, inside, owner Greg Gillen is working hard on his flat-top grill, waiting to see what this latest storm brings.
We're right next to the river, and we're happy to be here. And Manayunk's an awesome town, but it's times like these where you're like, you're kind of just waiting.
Gillen remembers the damage brought by Hurricane Ida after the Schuylkill River overflowed, causing widespread damage to businesses like his on Main Street.
After Hurricane Ida, we had 7 feet of water in the basement, and it knocked out the electrical. PECO came and took the meters, and they had to redo all the electrical, so we were closed for about 10 months.
He says while Hurricane Ida was an exceptional storm, he's hopeful this rain is just a nuisance.
There's not a lot we could do. You make sure everything's up off the floor in the basement, and you sort of just wait to see how bad it gets.
That was Josh Sanders reporting. Tonight is the kind of night that you should definitely stay inside if you can. If you do have to be outside, Chris Garrett is here with a look at the conditions on the roads. Hi, Chris.
Hello, and right now what we're looking at is a lot of volume still around the areas of New Jersey. Route 42, I-295, as you can see in the cameras right now, live look as traffic is making its way towards Philadelphia and also heading down towards AC. So we're also looking at some police activity in the area too. Watch for water, standing water being reported all along Route 42, all the way down towards the AC Expressway, and also wind is becoming a problem too. So just be aware that if you have to go out this evening. We're also looking at backlogs from an earlier tree that was down near the Conshohocken curve on the Schuylkill heading eastbound. Coming in around the Blue Route, things are now clearing out. Also down towards Conshohocken State Road, looks like we have now cleared out there too. But again, definitely be careful as you're making your way out on some of those roads. You may find out that debris may be still on the roads as you're making your way around the area. Also, we have trees down around the area of Morris Road near Murch Hill Road over in the Ambler area. Also seeing a little bit of delay coming in around the Ben Franklin Bridge, making your way on the inbound and outbound sides. If you're heading over towards Philly or making your way down towards the New Jersey area, watch for wind. As you can see, if you can really see it as the cars are going by. You can see the wind blowing all the way up the bridge at this point. So again, definitely pack your patience. Use caution if you have to go out this evening. If you don't have to go out, I would just stay home. But again, we'll have more information about the storm, flooding, and everything else tomorrow morning with Chandler Lutz at 4 a.m. Jessica, over to you.
All right, Chris, thank you. If you're taking Amtrak tonight or tomorrow, some trips have already been canceled. At the airport, more than 145 flights are delayed and 20 flights were canceled today. This is the perfect storm for power outages with the strong wind gusts and saturated ground. We are seeing the number of outages steadily climb tonight. Here are the latest numbers. More than 54,000 PECO customers don't have power right now. In Delaware, Delmarva Power is trying to restore electricity to more than 23,000 customers. At AC Electric, more than 1,100 customers are in the dark, and there are about 9,600 PSE&G customers who do not have power tonight. The next weather forecast is always at your fingertips on your phone or your tablet. Go to cbsphiladelphia.com/weather to find the latest on the storm and flooding concerns throughout the night. And while you're there, you can share photos from your neighborhood. Rain, and more rain. It's a nasty night in Bethlehem and all across our area, and we are not done with this storm just yet. Chief Meteorologist Bill Kelley is here with the latest on the next weather alert. Hey, BK.
Yeah, it's just a rough night. We're sitting here looking, Andrew and I and Grant earlier, looking at some of the different models, and I always look for, is there any kind of improvement? And I just don't see any. In fact, Andrew was just looking up PECO reporting over 70,000 customers now without power. Not an insignificant number for sure. Also, I want to go back to what Alicia was talking about down the shore. And she said she had worked in Florida and it felt kind of like a tropical system working up. Well, take a look at this. This is moisture in the atmosphere. And you see this stream of blue and all these what are called wind barbs. This is where it's coming from. It is coming from the south. It is very tropical-like. It's certainly not in the mid-70s outside, but the feel to it and the amount of moisture that's there and the wind that are associated with this storm have definitely more of a tropical feel and a tropical just kind of output than a winter storm by far. And this will continue to roll through the next couple of hours, but it will start scooting out of here after midnight, and then it's majorly improved tomorrow. All right, so let me get you out the door right now. We're going to go down, speaking of the shore. This is Cape May. You could see how heavily the rain is falling. You see it on the lens as well. and the winds are just ripping around. Notice the tree here, it's moving. Now the great news, like I said, we like to find some, just nice light, if you will. We do not have leaves on the trees. If we had the exact same situation a couple of months from now, when the leaves are all out there, they act like a sail, and it would be totally different in terms of power outages and tree damage. So fortunately they are bare, so the wind will go through them, but we are still talking about a lot of problems. We're almost 60 degrees right now. I mean, Philadelphia 58, 55 in Trenton, down the shore in the mid 50s, got 55 Westchester, even Mount Pocono at 42. It was just a couple of nights ago that we were on the air at this time, Saturday night, talking about all the snow coming down. I mean, that was our weather alert number 1. This is weather alert 2. Friday night, weather alert number 3. So we're looking at the radar. I have it focused around the Philadelphia area. The shades of yellow and orange are where the rain is coming down the heaviest. And the heaviest right now is into western parts of Philadelphia County, into Delaware and lower Montgomery County, all of Bucks County. And the motion is moving from the southwest up to the northeast. I want to go down a little farther to the south, though. And this is a very impressive line of storms, even though not a lot of thunder and lightning associated with it. This goes right on down from essentially the Susquehanna River, where connects with the Chesapeake Bay, into parts of eastern Maryland. And this is that strong line we've been telling you about that's going to be rolling through our area, and along it is likely where the heaviest of the rain and the strongest of the wind gusts are going to be. The northern end of that, right at the Chester County, Lancaster County border, and it's driving its way across our region. Futurecast picking that up here at 8 o'clock at night very nicely. Watch as we go through literally hour by hour. 9 o'clock tonight, that line is going to be knocking on the door of northern Delaware through Chester County, and you can actually see the wind barbs on this really starting to tighten up around that line. That is where those wind gusts 50 to 60 miles per hour as that pushes on through. 58 miles per hour, by the way, is considered severe. So it is a very strong line. Philadelphia right around the 10 o'clock hour. It continues to roll through down the shore. This is closer to about 11 o'clock. We get past midnight, and then things start to taper off. It's not going to straight end, but it will dramatically taper off through the overnight hours when it comes to the rain, with just a little bit of rain tomorrow morning. The wind gusts right now, 46 miles per hour in Wilmington, 51 in Philly, down the shore 45 to 50 miles per hour, 40 in Trenton. The future wind gusts show you that as we go through the next few hours, as that line cuts across, our wind gusts really increase. And here are these 60 mile per hour gusts as we approach the 10 and 11 o'clock hour. I mean, this one you saw down in Wildwood, it forecast 71. That's a little bit on the high side, but I think a 60 plus is very possible, if not likely, in this area. Now tomorrow, it's much, much less, but it's not a calm day by any stretch. It is a breezy day with wind gusts still 30 to 40 miles per hour, so the continuation of any damage tomorrow could be around as well. With the saturated ground. So we're continuing to watch it. Jess, our next weather maker is Friday night into Saturday, where our temperatures will drop. It is a rain event. It is certainly not a snow event. And then we may see a little snow. Just a quick, preview here into next week, something we're watching very closely. Back over to you.
All right, Bill, thanks. From the heart of Philly, this is CBS News Philadelphia. Good evening and welcome back to CBS News Philadelphia. I'm Jessica Cartalia. We are in the middle of a next weather alert right now as a powerful winter storm soaks our region. Take a look. Major flooding on Blair Mill Road in Hatboro, Montgomery County. Drivers taking a dangerous chance through the high water. We saw a UPS truck turn around. Good decision. Our team of next weather meteorologists has been helping you prepare for the storm all week. Well, now they're here to help you stay safe as the worst of the storm passes through. Let's start with meteorologist Andrew Kozak.
Yeah, Jess, this has been a rainy, windy night. We have more of it to come. You can see all of this moisture streaming up from the south, and Bill showed you this a little earlier, but this is actually more heavy rain that's going to continue to move in as we head into the next couple of hours. See the yellows and oranges here a little bit further to our south? This is the exact area that's going to give us possibly another quick 1 to maybe up to 1.5 to even close to 2 inches of rain. In the meantime, while the radar here is live, these are the winds and the gusts over the course of the last 3 hours. And we just received a 51 mile per hour wind gust at Philadelphia International. Sustained winds between 25 and 35 miles per hour. Wildwood, New Jersey, gusts in the mid to upper 40 mile per hour range. Atlantic City, 48 miles per hour. We are actually going to see the shift and focus of the strongest, gustiest winds across the Jersey Shore as we head into the next few hours. But even Philadelphia, we could see gusts over 55, close to 60 miles per hour. There's the bridge right now, Camden and the foreground, and of course we have Philadelphia in the background there. It's a night to stay in by all means. Within the next hour or two, the wind gusts, they're going to continue to increase. And now, since we already had a confirmed 51-mile-per-hour wind gust in Philadelphia, I'm more inclined to think that this futurecast model here is probably skewing more accurately. And that gives me some concern across the Jersey Shore, where wind gusts could top 55 to 65 miles per hour. By 10 o'clock, we could even have some wind gusts near Wildwood over 71 miles per hour there. Still looking at gusts in the 40 to 50 mile per hour range in the city. We get closer to midnight, we push that front closer to the shore, and that's where those winds are. Again, that will continue, and that means you really need to make sure that you secure anything that's not already down. Prepare once again for power outages. We'll have ongoing outages. In fact, I just checked and I have the PECO site open. This is just PECO, does not include Jersey or Delaware, but right now nearly 80,000 customers affected. We're going to watch that and continue to keep you updated here. But Bill, I know you're looking at some really heavy rain that's continuing, and this is going to take us all the way through into the wee hours of the morning.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the different threats. They have some different times with them. Obviously, the wind, a major threat that you just talked about there. So what I want to do is I want to take a minute and I want to focus on the few threats that we have and how they break down through time. And I'm not going to let this map go quick because there's going to be a lot of information on it. But the way that it's going to work, first of all, when we're looking at the threat levels, we're going to start you out with some colors here around the area. And the colors are going to start with green and go all the way to purple. So the green is the low to no impact. The purple is where you have the highest impact. And I specifically left this, it starts at 4 o'clock today, which obviously we're past that, and goes through 8 o'clock. And I left that time frame on there because I want to show you how the perspective is. So at 4 o'clock, we had put on the orange when it comes to the rain, and the rain was really coming down then. Now and through about midnight or so, we have the highest impact that we are going to see when it comes to the rain. Once we get past midnight, we're going to drop that down to, say, minor. With the minor when it comes to rain with the yellow. We get a green, practically no impact with rain at 4 in the morning, with a little bit of a minor tick up here at 7 or 8 o'clock with just a wave that's going to cut through. But generally speaking, once we get past midnight, our impacts from the rain is gone. Now, when we're talking about the wind, and Andrew just broke that down for you, this is a big threat. We were at moderate earlier. We're going to say high impact now after midnight through probably 1 or 2 in the morning, depending on where you are. Then it doesn't go to green like the rain where it just is gone. It's breezy tomorrow. There'll be a little bit of a lull tomorrow morning, and then it's going to be a breezy day as we roll into the afternoon tomorrow. Let's talk about the flooding threat, and we're really starting to see the flooding ramp up. So we had it as the moderate impact here at 4 o'clock. That is now by far, we are in the highest part of that for the local flooding, meaning it's raining and it's flooding. You saw the video, the car driving through that. But notice what we've done. We've kept it into the high impact all the way through tomorrow morning. Even though it's not going to be raining, all that water takes time to run through the creeks and streams, the tributaries, into the larger rivers, down into the Delaware and out to shore. So even tomorrow morning, it might not be raining where you are, but the flood threat is still going to be very high. So we have these 3 impacts that we have, different timing of each. The rain intensity continues to pick up, power outages, as we just talked about, and that flooding threat through tomorrow morning. Now, with that being said, there are a lot of rivers, a lot of creeks in our areas, and we can monitor them and show you what those levels are. And now we have an interactive tool that's on our website. Andrew, why don't you walk us through that?
Yeah, I love this tool because not only is it interactive, but it updates in real time, and especially if you live along streets, creeks, rivers, anything that could be prone to flooding, you could see all that information in real time. It's the National Water Prediction Service, and this is going to be on our website. A link to this website at CBSPhiladelphia.com. Let me show you what you can do. For example, you can click on any of the boxes here, and they're going to show you a minor or moderate or major flood risk. So, for example, I clicked on the Chester Creek near Chester, and it actually shows you here that right now we're looking at a potential by midnight of not just moderate flooding, which would be about 13 feet, but maybe close to major, which is about 14. If you hit full information, it gives you everything out there in not only full terms, but also shows you where your area is under a flood warning, a coastal flood warning. You can go ahead and scroll down and take a look at all of this. So again, for us, the forecast, for example, Chester Creek near Chester would be right there near the major flooding. In the meantime, you can go here, check it out, and of course, we'll have that link, like I said, on CBSPhiladelphia.com. KYW-TV.com. If, by the way, you are anywhere near the rivers or any of the roads near the rivers, like Kelly Drive and over toward Columbus Boulevard, we already are looking at not only ponding on the roadways, but flooding. I know Columbus, right near Spring Garden, is a big area of concern. Already we're seeing many cars there having to go around large areas of water. As we always say, turn around, don't drown. We're going to have a full look at your forecast coming up in just a few short minutes. Jess?
All right, Andrew, thank you. We have just learned that all schools in the Christiana School District are closed tomorrow because of widespread flooding and power outages. The number of outages is getting a lot worse in the area. More than 77,000 PECO customers don't have power right now. In Delaware, Delmarva Power is trying to restore electricity to more than 28,000 customers. At AC Electric, more than 13,000 customers are in the dark, and there are about 10,000 PSE&G customers who don't have power tonight. And also to our producer, if you can confirm if that's Christiana or Christina, that would be helpful. Thank you. Emergency officials in Delaware County are warning about the possibility of flash flooding and powerful wind gusts. CBS Philadelphia Delco reporter Madeline Wright spoke with homeowners worried about the damage that this storm could do.
So this all had to be gutted and redone.
Buffy Savant says it took 9 months to rebuild her house on Creek Road in Chadds Ford after her entire first floor flooded during Hurricane Ida.
So we lost everything. So lost the wedding videos, lost the kids' videos.
She says she was trapped on the second floor of her house for a day and a half, just waiting for the water to recede.
It was really scary. It was really, really scary.
Which is why she's taking this storm seriously. She stocked up on groceries. She's also got emergency supplies.
We have our water out, we have our batteries out, we have our generator, we have gas for that.
Tim Boyce, director of Delaware County Emergency Services, says dispatchers are prepared to handle an influx of 911 calls during the storm.
We're expecting flooding all along the 95 area as those low-lying communities just are going to be inundated with the water.
He says boats are on standby in case of swift water rescues.
We can't stress enough that water is incredibly dangerous. If you don't need to be out, don't be out.
As for Buffy Savant, she's planning to move her cars to higher ground if floodwaters get too close to her home.
I usually look at what happens up north of us because that's where things start flowing from the Brandywine. So if they get hit hard, I feel like we get it the next day. So I'm not really worried about today so much as tomorrow.
And that was Madeline Wright reporting. We do want to confirm it's Christina schools with the delay, not Christiana. If you do have storm damage, you should report it to your local municipality. The county will use that information to apply for reimbursement from the state and federal government. The storm is also causing problems down the shore tonight. This is a live look at Atlantic City. And if you look closely, you can see there are some trees in the lower left-hand corner of your screen that are blowing in the wind along the boardwalk. The gusts are the main concern there. Those gusts, which could hit 60 miles per hour, have also been churning up the ocean all day long. The boardwalk was practically deserted earlier this afternoon. In Brigantine, some businesses heeded the warnings. They brought in their outside furniture so that they didn't become projectiles. Emergency management officials in Atlantic County are preparing for minor flooding, power outages, and beach erosion.
The damage that our beaches sustained already after the last few storms, and here comes another one. We have some significant beach erosion, and this is just going to add to it.
Crews in Atlantic County say they will work through the night to monitor the storm. And we will be with you throughout the evening to help you get through the storm whenever we aren't on television. You can always find us on our streaming channel, CBSPhiladelphia.com. And while you're on the website, you can also share photos from the storm damage from your neighborhood. Well, let's get back to the next weather alert for all the rain, the wind, the flooding happening right now. So what's the latest? How long are we going to see this?
For at least a couple hours more, all the way through the wee hours of the morning. Then we have to deal with the after effects. Remember, the flooding doesn't subside right away.
Right.
So we're going to have to deal with that. Also, just real quick, I checked PECO. We're up to now even 100,000 customers affected. A lot of those, something like 72, 73,000 in Chester. New Jersey now has several counties or several areas with power outages. So we're going to likely see that number increase as we see the wind increase. So let me walk over to the wall, show you what's happening out there. First, let's talk about the atmospheric moisture. This is like the sponge that's squeezing out the available rain out there, and we have a lot of it. As you can see, with the darker colors, it will indicate where we have the heaviest amount of rain up in the atmosphere. Squeeze squeezing it out on top of us, moving after we get through the wee hours of the morning off the Jersey Shore. We eventually start to dry out as we head toward tomorrow morning's commute. Right now across the area, and by the way, that is Cape May. It is just a drencher down there. 42 degrees Mount Pocono. So this has been a system bringing in the warmer air, which is why we've had basically just plain old rain. 56 in Atlantic City, nearly 60 in Philadelphia. If there's one thing about tonight you can say, it is not a cold night at all. It's a lot of things, but it's certainly not cold. So we have some green, right? This is rain. The yellow is some moderate to heavy rain. Let me expand that view out, because if you look at the direction everything's coming from, we're almost seeing a little bit of training, and that means that we're seeing the same areas over and over again get heavy rain. We're looking at yellows, oranges down toward Wilmington, and just to the west of Westchester, an area of really torrential rain. That extends all the way down from Delaware into basically Maryland, and that's going to continue to move closer to us. So if I move the map a little bit more, you can see the heaviest rain is still ready to approach our area between the next 25 and 45 minutes. Excuse me, and that's where we're going to get in on some heavier rain. I'm talking a lot tonight. All right, so let's get right into what we're looking at for your future cast. So there it is, and our models, I got to say, are doing a very, very good job of getting in on some of where the heaviest rain is going to be. By 9:30, approaching Wilmington. By about 10 o'clock, right through Philadelphia through 10:30, we could again be looking at a windswept rain. I'm going to show you some of those wind gusts already over 50 miles per hour. Now, we quickly see things subside once we get into the early wee hours of the morning. Then we start to see, believe it or not, even a little clearing possible. Areas like the Lehigh Valley could even see some sunshine early on. Let's talk about the winds. So far, gusts have been between 50 and 55 miles per hour in Philadelphia. Atlantic City has had now a 52-mile-per-hour wind gusts. The next couple of hours, we could see those winds really ramping up. 55, 60, even close to 70 miles per hour all the way through the late part of the evening. And then eventually that does subside. But again, these are damaging winds. Just to put it in perspective for you, 75 miles per hour, that would be a Category 1 hurricane. And we're going to see some winds across the Jersey Shore, maybe even close to that. So just keep that in mind for power outages, for anything that's outside, for trees down. The soil's already loose. By the morning hours, those winds die down, but it will be a breezy afternoon. All right, we take a bit of a break on Wednesday, and then on Thursday, that's my pick of the week. I mean, slim pickings for us, but 50 and mostly sunny skies looks pretty good. Friday is our next weather alert day, not for during the day, but mainly at night as our next system comes in, giving us some very heavy rain. Could see some snow up toward the mountains. Meantime, Saturday, windy, temperatures drop. Believe it or not, we could be talking about some snow early next week. Monday, MLK Day. Tuesday, a temperature of only 32. That does have the potential to give even the city of Philadelphia accumulating snow. Potential, not definite, but as we say, stay tuned. Jess? 58 degrees out there in Philly.
Crazy.
And since everything's coming in from the south, it's probably going to go a little bit higher than that.
Alicia said it reminded her of covering storms in Florida. So that's really interesting. I was going to say, what's the temperature?
She would know. And it's funny, yeah, being at the Jersey Shore and seeing that, you're going to really feel windswept. But that wind coming up really transports that warm, we call it warm air advection. And believe it or not, for this time of year, in many cases, we're going to be nearly 20 degrees above average. Wow. Not setting any records, but this is what we're seeing. We talked about this a little earlier, the atmospheric moisture that's in the air. We're going to be live, by the way, on CBS News Philadelphia on the hour, every hour, CBSPhiladelphia.com. We are streaming live. We have team coverage coming up at 11 p.m. I know, Jess, you and Yuki will be here. We're going to be talking about that and all the different issues and problems we're having. Again, a new update, over 100,000 customers right now without power from Pico alone, Jersey and Delaware, thousands without power tonight.
All right, Andrew, thanks so much for being here. And thank you for watching. We'll have the very latest on the storm at 11 on CBS Philadelphia. And for those of you watching on our streaming channel, we'll continue with your local news shortly.
From the heart of Philly, this is CBS News Philadelphia. Now at 11, heavy rain drenches the region. Roads becoming unrecognizable. This is Blair Mill Road in Hatboro, Montgomery County. Many drivers did not heed the warning and took the dangerous trip through the high water.
It's not just the rain, but also strong winds. A giant tree came crashing down on the Quail Ridge neighborhood in Hocus in Newcastle County. Tonight, tens of thousands are without power across the region.
The strongest wind gusts are at the shore. Tonight, we've already seen flooded streets and concerns linger as we go through the night. Good evening, everyone. I'm Yuki Washington.
I'm Jessica Cartalia. Power outages are adding up right now. PECO is reporting more than 123,000 customers in the dark, a majority in Chester County. Also, there are several school delays and closures running at the bottom of your screen.
We have a team of reporters across the region covering the impact of this storm and our next weather team. Meteorologist Andrew Kozak and Chief Meteorologist Bill Kelley have the up-to-the-minute forecast. Okay, Bill.
All right, let's get straight to the radar. Good evening, guys. Good evening to all of you. Here's where we stand right now. Some good news. The rain's starting to taper off in our western communities, but the not so good news, this line, this red line that even has some white in there, that is an indicator that there's some small hail. It is the strongest down the shore as we speak. It's also where the rain is the heaviest and the winds are going to be the strongest there. We're looking live right now at Cape May, our camera. You can see how wet this camera is, and I was watching here. The rain just pouring, and even the trees, fortunately, don't have leaves on them. If they did, we'd be talking even more power outages and even more damage, but they are moving as well. We're working right up through Atlantic City, and then you can see that this stretches right into the southern part of Burlington County and into Ocean County as well. In Philadelphia, the rain is coming down at a moderate clip. We've had almost 2 inches of rain, and it's going to continue for at least another hour or two before that starts to taper off into showers. Every one of these emblems that are on your screen is some kind of storm report, whether it's damage, wind gust, flooding report, you name it, and you can see how many of them there are. So I want to take it now and isolate it into the wind gust report, and I want to show you some of these reports that have come in. This is in Brigantine. This came down just at 8:39, so we're looking at even potentially stronger winds now. This was a 62-mile-per-hour wind gust, but check this out. Just south of Seaside Heights, Island Beach State Park, a 72-mile-per-hour gust was reported at around 9:40 tonight. 2 miles an hour higher than that, and it is a Category 1 hurricane. That shows you how strong they are. But like I said, things are starting to taper off. The wind right now being reported in Atlantic City is down to 36 miles per hour. That is a brand new observation. Last hour it was into the 50s, and so we're seeing some nice improved signs of things starting to taper off there. Back to the radar one more time, and you can see that the rain is the heaviest down the shore. We're still dealing with moderate rain up and down I-95 in South Jersey, but you guys in, say, Upper Montgomery County, Berks County, Chester County, even Delaware County, starting to calm down. But the big question is, what's in store for the rest of the night in terms of the rain and the wind? Let's bring in meteorologist Andrew Kozak. Yeah. We've been watching this. It's really gone to plan in terms of the future cast. Walk us through the next.
It really is. It's kind of nice when you look at the models and look at our forecast based off of them, and they're kind of lining up with exactly what is happening out there. Heaviest rain now moving just to the east of the city across the Jersey Shore. In fact, even our model puts Atlantic City right now in the heaviest rain. So this is verifying as we started off. Now we move it a little bit closer into the next half hour, and we're really going to see this clear out by right after midnight, 12 to 12:30. Heaviest rain across LBI, and then eventually we're just down to some lingering showers, sprinkles, and some gusty winds overnight, although even that starts to taper off toward the morning hours. Next time stamp 10 a.m. where we're actually going to see a little bit of sunshine, especially across the city and western areas as we get into the day on your Wednesday. But behind this front, we're going to dry things out with a west and northwesterly wind, and that's going to keep us pretty much not only on the blustery side, but once again at the risk for trees, power lines to be down tomorrow. Remember, all this rain and all the wind we're having loosens that soil, so we're really susceptible for that moving into your Wednesday. Again, as we get into your winds, as Bill showed you, we're starting to see them die down. As we get into the overnight, we'll see sustained winds between 20 and 25 miles per hour. By the early morning hours, we'll see them even get down into the teens. That's good news, but then they once again start to increase. Again, from the west, drying us out, but gusting between 30 and 40 miles per hour. So this will be a blustery, windy afternoon. Across the region tomorrow, 48 degrees, partly cloudy and windy. A couple of lingering showers at the shore, 48, 43 in the Lehigh Valley. We have updates. I'm going to be here all the way through the middle of the night until Kate gets here in the morning. So we're going to keep you updated on the hour. Also, check out CBSPhiladelphia.com. We have a fresh blog for you so you can kind of see what's going on in your area and even check some of those rivers and streams. And of course, Bill, he'll be back in just a few minutes with a complete look at your 7-day forecast. Yuki and Jess?
All right, Andrew, thank you. The storm is causing a big mess down the shore, too. It is soggy in Ocean City.
That's where CBS Philadelphia reporter Alicia Roberts is right now. And yes, where Bill and Drew said the action really was. Alicia.
Yeah, good evening to you, Jess and Yuki. The storm continuing, if you can believe it, to intensify here along the boardwalk in Ocean City. It seems like the storm has shifted a bit right now. We can feel the winds and the rain coming from south to north. If you can kind of see it, it's just coming down in sheets right now along the boardwalk here. For that reason, extra power crews have been staffed across Cape May County all throughout the night. They were anticipating the possibility of power outages with some of the heavy wind gusts that we are seeing here along the shore points up and down the coast. Also tonight, many residents heeding the early warnings to stay home, knowing that the threat is still far from over. Trash cans scattered and street lamps shattered along a barren Ocean City boardwalk Tuesday night as this latest winter storm barreled through the Jersey shore, bringing with it powerful wind gusts that tested even those things strongly secured in its path. Across town, silence except for the sound of the wind whistling from the ocean to the bay. Heavy rains also flooded local roads and made driving dangerous along the Atlantic City Expressway. Those who did venture out told us they were quickly heading home, not eager to tempt Mother Nature's might for much longer.
Oh, it's crazy. The drive home was nuts. Everyone was going 45, 50 on the way home on the expressway. The wind, once you get on the island's crazy. It's unreal.
The flooding in the streets has gotten kind of bad in some spots. The wind, of course, in my car, it's very pushing you around a little bit. And the rain is steady, but it's not too bad. But it's the wind that's giving problems.
And while the earliest threats here along the Ocean City boardwalk have been the high winds and the heavy rains, the ocean is actually expected to reach high tide tomorrow morning at 6:30 a.m. So the threat of flooding here is still very real. We've seen a lot of the local roadways already flooded out here along Ocean City and neighboring shore towns. Many residents knowing that potentially there is still a very long night ahead. For now, we are live here in Ocean City. Alicia Roberts, CBS News, Philadelphia.
Alicia and photojournalist Ed Spay, great job. Thank you, and please be safe tonight. Take a look at this. A large tree fell onto a house in Westchester tonight. Firefighters responded to East Chestnut and East Barnard Street. Fortunately, no one was injured, but the house did suffer exterior and interior damage. The cleanup will get underway in the morning. And this just into our newsroom. Because of storm damage, SEPTA says that service on the Paoli-Thorndale Regional Rail Line is suspended until at least 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon.
In Philadelphia, officials are urging caution to anyone heading out tonight. Police are keeping a close eye on areas in the city that are prone to flooding. CBS Philadelphia Siafa Lewis is along Delaware Avenue, continuing our coverage tonight. Siafa?
Yeah, Yuki and Jess, photojournalist Sean Townd and I are currently in Spring Garden at the intersection of Spring Garden Street and Delaware Avenue. I'm going to step out of the way right now so we can show you this intersection, which is completely submerged right now. Just one example of this storm system's impact in Philadelphia tonight. Now, we did begin in South Jersey, where the Brooklawn Circle was partially flooded, as it so often is when it rains, as it has. We were here at Spring Garden and Delaware Avenue a few hours ago when this intersection wasn't quite as bad as it is now. A little west of here, also in Spring Garden at 17th and Green, we saw a downed tree which damaged 2 cars. Street, we saw very few people out braving these elements for good reason. And on the Benjamin Franklin Parkway, we saw the sheer power of the wind gusts whipping the flags which line the parkway. Earlier on Tuesday, Philadelphia police held a press conference to share their plans for helping residents deal with the storm, especially in those low-lying areas which are historically prone to flooding, while also offering some advice to drivers.
Over the next 24 hours, we'll be working with our city and state partners to ensure that we have additional officers with their eyes on those hotspots. We want to be able to assist, be ready to assist in closing down an area should we receive a call, or again with our own eyes seeing it and realizing that it's unsafe for vehicles or pedestrians we want to be able to close those areas down quickly. As little as 6 inches of water, which doesn't look that deep, but moving very quickly, it's enough to knock an adult over. It takes just 12 inches of rushing water to carry most cars away. 2 feet for an SUV. People sometimes believe falsely with an SUV that they can make it through. We don't encourage that.
Now, to that end, police have blocked off Delaware Avenue South at Spring Garden Street. As you can see right now, we have seen some drivers drive around that police vehicle right there. We do not recommend that, of course. Also, if you're driving east on Spring Garden Street and you want to head to Delaware Avenue South, make a right here, you cannot do that either. There's a police cruiser right there blocking it off as well. So if you know anybody driving tonight, you might want to reach out to them, ask them to be safe, not brave. In Spring Garden, Siafa Lewis, CBS News Philadelphia. Back to you.
Okay, Siafa, you and Sean be safe. Talk to you soon. As this storm hits the tri-state, heavy rain and whipping winds were just the start of the trouble.
Officials in Delaware County are now mostly concerned about flooding there. CBS News Philadelphia's Aziza Schuler is live in Aston with the very latest on the conditions. Aziza, you and Jake have been hard at work out there tonight.
We have, and thankfully we are inside tonight at the Aston Township Fire Department. 1, to shield us from the heavy rain, wind, and even lightning outside. But 2, this is one of the locations Delaware County Emergency Services have deployed these rescue boats to supplement local first responders and fire crews. As a matter of fact, this crew just returned from rescuing a driver in Glen Mills, maybe about 5 miles from here. That driver got stuck in some water. So as we say, turn around, don't drown. That same team went right back out to rescue someone else. Additionally, water rescue crews have been deployed strategically throughout the county to help address with emergencies. Here's a look at some of the video we shot as we were driving around Darby this evening. We could already see ponding at various points and intersections. Also, the winds so powerful we could feel our van whipping around. Officials are predicting potential flooding along the Delaware River, Darby Creek, Chester Creek, and Brandywine Creek areas throughout the night. The concern at hand revolves around the Delaware River's tidal conditions, particularly impacting areas along those waterways. With rising tides and no outlet for the water, there's a high probability of serious flooding, especially during the 11 p.m. high tide.
There's nowhere for that water to go. So that it's like putting a cork in the end of the river. So when that water backs up, you have all the water rushing down from different areas, and then the water being pushed up. It basically stops the waterways from operating because of the tides. It's a lunar event today, so it's a high tide. And then the winds, as the winds are coming out of South Jersey and up the Delaware River, it's really pushing that water towards us.
And I do want to mention more than 30,000 power outages in Delaware County already. Some high-risk areas have already declared municipality emergencies. That way they can have the right amount of team members on board to respond. As a matter of fact, those assistance and just assessment will not happen until the morning. But until then, emergency services are recommending that anyone watching, if you live in a high-risk, flood-prone area, before you go to bed tonight, go down into the basement and pull out some of your high valuable items that you may want to bring up to a higher level of your home. The worst thing that could happen is that you wake up in the morning and your entire lower level or basement is flooded. Well, that's the latest from here in Delaware County. Aziza Schuler, CBS News, Philadelphia.
Aziza, you and Jake, safe travels as well coming back to the station. Stay with us throughout the night and into the early morning as we bring the story right to you. The next weather team will be back in just a few minutes, and they will have you covered through the overnight hours on our streaming servers. Then join our morning team a half hour early starting tomorrow at 4 a.m. here on CBS News Philadelphia. You know, we talked earlier about the gusty winds, and that's causing concern for more power outages as we go through the night.
Still to come, a look at how PECO prepared for tonight and the help that's coming from across the country.
As you might imagine, this is the perfect storm for power outages with the strong wind gusts and saturated ground.
Here are the latest numbers from our region's utilities. PECO tops them right now We just got an update with more than 115,000 customers, so they are making some headway. They were around 123,000 without power, nearly 64,000 for Atlantic City Electric. PSE&G has hundreds of line workers and tree crews on standby in South and Central Jersey. They will respond to any problems. Now, if needed, a spokesperson says contractors will be called in to help.
This one is unique because it has the combined strong winds and the extensive flooding. It's important to understand that our crews cannot go up in the bucket trucks if the winds are over a certain speed, and our crews can't get into flooded areas because it's just not safe.
As the storm continues to move through, power companies want to remind everyone to stay away from any downed wires.
Let's bring Bill back in now and get the very latest.
Yeah, Andrew and I we're looking at a lot of the river gauges, and we posted it online, by the way. We have where you can check the river where you are, see where it is, see the forecast, and there's some big numbers I'm going to show you in just a moment. The rest of the night, what can you expect with this storm? Well, the heavy rain is going to taper off, turn over to showers, which is great. The wind gusts will decrease overnight, which is also great. But as you saw earlier in the newscast, they're not going to go from 50 and 60, even 70 plus mile per hour wind gusts tonight to then nothing. Tomorrow, we're going to talk breezes, gusting 30 to 40. And the temperatures, man, they are going to stay very mild for this time of year. This is our live shot in Cape May, and you see how much water is around. We're at 56 degrees right now in Philly. You go to Mount Pocono, it's 44. Just keep in mind, it was Saturday, just a few days ago, that we had over a foot of snow and the weather system roll on through. But tonight, it is all about the melting, and it is all about the rain. Fortunately, the rain is starting to come to an end. In fact, you can see around Philadelphia, the areas of green, it's tapering off. The heaviest, the yellows, the oranges, still confined here to Gloucester and Camden County, essentially all of Burlington County. But that strong line I was pointing out down the shore continues to push offshore. So a few more hours, and we're going to start to see things wind down. And that's great because we've already had 2.02 inches of rain in Philly, widespread 1.5 to 3 inch totals, which is exactly what we anticipated it being. Pocono, Mount Pocono, 3 inches, 3.04. You add that, especially Lehigh Valley and to the north, to all the snow that's still on the ground, and that's going to run down into the creeks and streams and the rivers. So river flooding continues to be a big problem for us. Pretty much our entire area right now is under a flood warning, and that is what this light shade of green is. And that is the more aerial flood warning, not flash flooding per se, where all of a sudden you're driving and a creek just pops out real quick. But you're driving and there's just water everywhere. It's just widespread flooding going on. So I want to focus a little bit on the river flooding. I was looking at this observation here. This is the Delaware River at Washington Street. Right now it's at 9.1. That by itself is flood stage. Forecast to crest here in a couple of hours, and you just saw that story about the tide coming in, so it acts like a cork at the mouth of the Delaware. 10.2. The record is 10.6. And at 10.2, that is major flooding. Vulnerable homes and businesses may be damaged. Numerous roads in this area, both sides of the river, by the way, not just Pennsylvania, could be impassable with a few of these isolated neighborhoods because of the water. Talk about another area that we were focusing on last week. And that, of course, is the Schuylkill River at Boathouse Row. Right now, 9.3. They updated it, National Weather Service, the hydrology department there, to crest at 12.2, which is much higher than it was last week. In fact, at 12 feet, Main Street in Manayunk will flood. And we were talking about that. Josh Sanders was out there earlier. And so we got Kelly Drive. That's closed tomorrow, no question. MLK Drive beginning to flood at 11.5. So that's probably closed as well. And so there's a lot of impacts for you tonight, even though the rain is going to stop. We get into the day tomorrow, especially the first part of the day, and there will still be impacts from this. So raining for another hour or so. And then it starts to taper, as I mentioned, 53 at 4 o'clock in the morning, 47 at 7. If you were wondering if any of this is going to refreeze, absolutely not. We're nowhere even remotely close to the freezing level, so that's good. There's a positive part of that. But it is breezy tomorrow. Skies start to clear late in the day. Thursday, like yesterday, is our reset day before our next weather maker gets here on Friday night and into Saturday morning. And it's a very similar setup to what we have out there today, just a little bit lighter. Not quite as windy, not quite as rainy, but enough that we're going to call weather alert and into Saturday morning. And notice the low Saturday morning and the high are going to be the same, about 50 degrees. Then the temperatures drop dramatically. By Sunday morning, we're at 28 degrees. And guys, if that's not enough, next week, Monday/Tuesday, we have a decent shot of snow following all this. So we have a lot on the plate to continue to update you and keep you and your family safe. Over to you.
All right, buddy. Thanks.
Good news is it's coming to an end. The bad news is, man, we have flooding all over the place, and it's going to continue through the overnight hours. So we're going to be monitoring that. Hourly updates all night long.
Thank you, buddy. Our morning team starts at 4 a.m. to bring you the very latest for everyone here. I'm Yuki Washington.
I'm Jessica Cartalia. Please stay safe and stay with us for the latest forecast. The Late Show with Stephen Colbert is next.
Good night, family, and take care of each other. Sleep well.